A pilot has told the High Court a lot of cockpit chat among colleagues working for Ryanair was about their job not being the one they would like to retire in, and was about where we are going next. Most people's view was that Ryanair was a stepping stone to something else, Captain Paulo Cova said. Captain Cova, who worked for Ryanair for 11 years until joining EasyJet in 2016, was giving evidence in Ryanair's action against 3 founders of the Ryanair pilot group RPG over a 2013 email which the airline says falsely inferred the company misled investors. Captains Evert Van Zwol, John Goss and Ted Murphy deny they defamed Ryanair. Captain Cova worked for most of his time at Ryanair's Milan-Bergamo airport base in Italy. Pay and conditions negotiations were carried out at each base under the airline's representation system, called Employee Representative Councils (ERCs), he said. He told his counsel David Whalen he took part in some of the meetings which led up to the 2015 agreement that was first presented to pilots earlier that year by Ryanair's Director of Flight Operations, Peter Ballou. Captain Cova had been concerned about a number of provisions in the previous agreement, including one which said a favorable 5-day in, 4-day off rostering system would revert to a less favorable 5-day and 3-day off roster if a new agreement was not made. If that happened, it would mean that many people who spent a lot of time commuting would get to see their families less, he said. He said the 850 hours maximum flying time limit provided for in Ryanair contracts was very close to the legal limit of 900 hours and did not include time spent preparing for takeoff, turnaround time and post-flight duties of reporting into the office. When negotiations for a new agreement came up in 2015, he and others assisted the Bergamo ERC representative who dealt with management, but they did not get involved in any official capacity because they first wanted to be sure the negotiations were meaningful. Captain Cova said for most of his 11 years with Ryanair he was a member of the Irish Pilots Union, IALPA. He said 2 drafts of an agreement were produced by the company and very little of what pilots had asked for initially was in the final agreement. In March 2015, it was presented as a take-it-or-leave-it agreement and they were told the company's budgets had been decided. He looked at some draft agreements for other bases in Italy and there was almost no difference between them. It was a quite frustrating experience, and they felt powerless. It showed us that it did not make any difference what we brought to the company. Between 50 and 60 pilots had a right to vote in Bergamo, and although 75% voted in favor of the 2015 agreement, Captain Cova believed the vote was constrained by the fact that they were told they would go back to a less favorable roster if they did not back the agreement. Ryanair had advised the less favorable 5-day 3-day roster was already planned in the event of a no vote, he said. A majority of the pilots at Bergamo, some 150 he estimated, had no vote at all because they were contracted rather than directly employed pilots like him. When the Bergamo pilots asked if they could discuss the new deal with pilots at other bases, they were told by Ryanair this was not possible. Under cross-examination by Thomas Hogan SC, for Ryanair, Captain Cova said he did not directly state flying safety was an issue when he wrote letters to management about the stress on Italy-based pilots like him as a result of changes in pilots' tax status following changes in Italian law. The tax status change issue was very stressful, and since he joined the EasyJet it has been removed because he was now regarded as an Italian employee. Captain Evert Van Zwol, under continuing cross-examination on Friday, denied his purpose in referring the sell-off of shares by Ryanair management in June 2013 in the RPG email was to outcast management in the eyes of pilots. The trial before Mr. Justice Bernard Barton and a jury goes into its 4th week next Tuesday.